Hey guys, my name is Sophie, and today we're going to tackle a paper one question from a past IB English A Literature exam back in 2022. Higher level students are required to write commentaries on two literary works they encounter for the first time during the exam, hence why paper one is called the unseen commentary. You're given 2 hours and 15 minutes to sit your exam. So for each text, you should allocate about 25 minutes to annotating and outlining your essay, 35 minutes to writing, and 5 minutes of proofreading. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the text. Like on the top of the slide, preceding each literary work, we are provided with a short introductory note that offers guiding information, like the author and the genre. You see it here, to a poem by Linda Paston. These should be stated in your introduction, so make a quick note of it. And let's start annotating. We have a poem with the title, The Happiest Day, and the guiding question is, how is imagery used to explore the nature of happiness? Write a guided analysis of the following text. So keep that in mind as you read the poem for the first time. Okay, so it is early May. I think a moment of lilac or dogwood. It is early May. We have the temporal setting of the poem. Early May would be spring and that time of the year, so it is associated with new life and growth and youth. So it's a potential symbolism. And lilac and or dogwood. The asterisk explains them as colorful plants, right? On the bottom of the screen. This is a direct continuation of early May, which is a time in which new life begins. So this is natural imagery. And this natural imagery provides some sensory detail about early May and grounds a reader in a more specific moment of lilac or dogwood, so flowers blooming. And also the diction, I think, and or. Here, I think a moment of lilac or dogwood give off a note of uncertainty, implying that the speaker is looking back at a hazy memory. Okay, let's keep reading. When so many promises are made, it hardly matters if a few are broken. My mother and father still hovered in the background, part of the scenery like the houses I'd grown up in. And if they would be torn down later, and that is something I knew but didn't believe. Okay, what is this? This is a developed simile. And this developed simile starts with comparing the persona's parents to her childhood homes. So it highlights the similar qualities between them, right? Like the background presence, and having them in your background, they both provided foundational security. And the simile develops further, underscoring the inevitability of mortality and the fragility of family bonds. Okay. And you see the sentence is completed in the middle of the line with a period. This is a caesura, and it structurally enacts the thought of the persona's parents being torn down and their eventual death. So it emphasizes the moment of finality. Let's keep reading. Our children were asleep or playing, the youngest as new as a new smell of the lilacs. And how could I have guessed their roots were shallow and would be easily transplanted? We have another developed simile here that compares the children to lilacs using natural imagery that we discussed in the very beginning of the poem. And this simile begins with an olfactory imagery, right? Olfactory imagery that links the newness of the youngest child to the fresh smell of the lilacs. And it develops by extending the comparison of the smell of the lilac flower to its roots, which serve as a metaphor for the temporary nature of childhood. So it signifies a future in which the children will grow up and leave. And the two developed similes both start with a positive connotation, but reveal an inevitable future loss, right? So they share a similar structure. This is parallelism. What does a parallelism function as? It highlights the impermanence of family structure and emphasizes the fleeting moment of happiness of the speaker, who is caught in the middle between her parents who will leave and her children who will leave as well. Okay, I didn't even guess that I was happy. There's situational irony in this line, because you'd expect the persona to feel happy, right? Based on the title, The Happiest Day, and the idyllic setting of early May with spring flowers. But the persona reveals that she wasn't aware that she was feeling happy at that moment. And what does this sentence do? It also sets a nostalgic and wistful tone. Right. The small irritations that are like salt on melon are what I dwelt on, though in truth, they simply made the fruit taste sweeter. This is another developed simile. Another developed simile here. It links her problems, her life problems, to salt and melon. It uses gustatory imagery as well to illustrate that one's problems or imperfections actually deepen life's happiness. Also, notice the enjambment here, the line breaking immediately after the word salt. Do you see that? It forces a reader to pause and linger on it. It actually mimics the psychological act of dwelling on the irritations, right? It makes a resolution of the tension in the next line feel even more satisfying. So it demonstrates with the structure of the poem how the salt of life's problems can actually make the good parts feel even better. Okay, let's keep reading. So we sat on the porch in the cool morning, sipping hot coffee. So the comfortable domestic setting of the porch is enhanced by a juxtaposition of tactile imagery, right? Because hot coffee and cool morning, the warmth juxtaposes against the coolness of the morning. This makes it feel balanced, so it creates a feeling of simple and balanced pleasure. Okay, there's a period after coffee, right? It acts as a hard stop, so it's another caesura. This caesura structurally separates the calm, private world in the porch from the chaotic public world of the news, right? Behind the news of the day. Okay. Moving on, behind the news of the day, strikes and small wars, a fire somewhere. The line lists 3 vague kinds of violence, right? Using the rule of 3. This creates a rhythm that makes the bad news feel relentlessly chaotic. It also uses sibilants, strikes, small wars, a fire somewhere, right? the repetition of the S sound. This creates an unsettling hissing sound that evokes a feeling of unease. Okay, let's move on. Keep reading. I could see the top of your dark head. See the top of your dark head, and thought not of public conflagrations, but how it'd feel on my bare shoulder. This sentence has a lot of imagery. In this sentence, the visual imagery of your dark head, like the persona sees it, right? So it's a visual imagery. It shifts to the imagined tactile sensation of how it'd feel on my bare shoulder. And bridging the different types of imagery is the public conflagrations. And this juxtaposes against a calm and personal moment, right? This demonstrates a power of intimacy to overcome public anxiety. Also, the use of the pronoun your makes the poem a direct address to her partner. And so it anchors a happiness in a specific relationship, personal relationship, and creates an intimate tone. Okay, if someone could stop the camera then, if someone could only stop the camera and ask me, are you happy? The repetition of if someone could stop the camera, this intensifies the persona's desperate longing, while the camera metaphor symbolizes the persona's wish, the impossible wish to freeze a fleeting moment of peaceful happiness that she didn't notice at the time. Also, there's a caesura before, are you happy? Right? The rhetorical question of, are you happy? The caesura emphasizes the central question and makes the reader stop for a moment and really consider the question, the rhetorical question. And why is this a rhetorical question? Because it's not asked to get an answer. Then what is its point? It's asked instead to make a poignant point about the persona's lack of awareness of her own happiness in the past. Okay. Perhaps I would have noticed how the morning shone in the reflected color of lilac. A period. Notice how the lilac appears for a third time in this poem. It was mentioned in the second line, and then in the 12th line, and then for the third time here in the second to last line. This makes it a recurring motif, and it works here as a visual imagery that creates a calm and happy ambience. And the caesura here, before yes, it forces a reflective pause. And it makes the answer, the persona's answer, yes, I might have said, feel even more wistful.